What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Draft Day Dynasties. I'm C. Jackson Coward, the community manager here at Wolverine Studios, and I appreciate you joining us for the 31st episode of Draft Day Dynasties and the 10th, nice round number there, showing off Draft Day Sports College Football 2023. If you haven't seen any of the previous episodes in this series, for one, where have you been? But I appreciate you catching up now, and you can catch up on all of those episodes on our YouTube channel. And you can always catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on the official Wolverine Studios Twitch channel. Today is an awesome day for Wolverine Studios. A very, very exciting day with the release of Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2023. Super excited about that coming out right smack dab in the middle of football season. Couldn't be a better time for that. Any of you guys that have played the pro football games in the past know how awesome of a game that is. I absolutely love deep diving in free agency in that game. There's very few things that can simulate that experience. So if you haven't already got that game, if you're not one of the day one buyers, that's totally fine. Go try the demo. See if you like the game yourself. Try it for a few days. See what you think. And I have a feeling that you're probably going to go ahead and pick that one up. So that's pretty exciting. We have that going down today. We have the release of pro basketball coming just around the corner. I think free first access is starting. What is that? Starting next week, next Tuesday. So we got that coming as well, with the basketball season having started in real life just a day ago, depending on when you're watching this, maybe a few days ago. So we got that around the corner as well. So a lot of things going on with Wolverine Studios, including this episode. This will be the last episode of Draft Day Dynasties for the month. I will be off next week, getting married. Exciting time for me personally. So I will not be on the stream next week. So next Wednesday, you're going to have to find someone else to fill that hour-long void on your Wednesday evening schedule. But then I'll be back like normal. After that, should be good to go. So if you've seen a little less of me recently, you can probably understand why. Pretty crazy getting ready for the end of this month here. But a lot of things to keep you busy. So in this episode, what we're going to do, last episode we focused on recruiting, filled out our board with what it looks like with 104 targets there. Nice almost round number, not quite, but we had to add some Kleins to the board at the end. So we'll be finishing up recruiting in terms of preseason week one recruiting. The recruiting never stops in college football, and that, in my opinion, is one of the coolest things about this game. It's just how dynamic the recruiting is throughout the entire season. So we will be finishing up the early season portion of recruiting here, getting our board ready to go, using our outreach hours, using all of our spending, offering our scholarships, really just laying the groundwork for the season ahead. And then I want to touch on the game planning as well ahead of our week one matchup. We'll go ahead and have that week one game, that much anticipated season opener. That'll be the episode after this one, so that'll come the first Wednesday in November. But I do just want to touch on the game planning and strategy elements here before that episode, just so you guys can really take a peek under the hood. Once you've seen, all right, you set your depth chart, you set your recruiting, just how many options do you have at your disposal to get ready for that week one showdown. So I'm pretty excited for that. If you are in the chat, say hello. I love when you guys are in the chat. Love to have the engagement. It's one of the most fun things about being the community manager for Wolverine Studios. It's obviously the community itself. And being able to engage with you guys on things like these weekly streams and in the Discord and the forums and all that. So if you are watching live on this Wednesday evening, I appreciate you. Go ahead and make yourself known in the chat. Little wave emoji, whether that's a hand, whether that's an actual ocean wave. I don't know if you can get any sort of GIF or emoji of people doing the wave in a stadium. I would imagine that's probably beyond our capacities here on Twitch. But definitely make yourself known if you are in the chat. And I think this is going to be a pretty fun one as we're finishing out the early season recruiting period. So let's just take a look at what we had done before. So like we saw here, 104 targets. So we definitely filled out the board pretty aggressively to try to fill out our needs. So all of the work is ahead of us here. We are not going to delegate anything. So that means that we have some big decisions to make, and we have some decisions to make right away. So we're going to go targets here. Of course, you can you can sort by any of these other things. You can see, players that you've scouted, all these other things, committed, uncommitted. But for most of your recruiting experience, you are just going to sort by this targets here. You can go all, that's what we were doing before to try to add guys to our list. And 104 is not an official number. We had Brooks in the chat last week answering all sorts of questions. Love when he's in the chat. And he was saying there really is no upper limit to this targets. But I think 104 maybe is a little bit ambitious. I think we're probably going to learn that pretty quickly in the season with how unruly it's going to be trying to keep up with all these guys. But look, there's nothing wrong with taking a stab early and seeing what happens. So we have all of our targets here. Summary, not super relevant to us right now because it is time to get to work. So sort by actions here, and we have got some math ahead of us. We only have $210,000 in our recruiting budget. That's what happens when you're the coach of San Diego State. You don't have enough. I know $210,000 might seem like a lot. It seems like a lot to you and me, but we are not running college football teams. And $210,000 not going to get us very far. It'll be enough to have some discussions with some of these guys and to get on their radar, but I'm not necessarily thinking that we're going to be high in the running, but we'll see. So the most that you can do on these guys is 10. So you can max out at 10,000 recruiting spend in a week. Obviously, if we go ahead and do 10,000 on everybody, as you can see here, so we have 220 to start. That's only going to get us 22 players, and we only have 25 scholarships. So I think we're going to want to do not quite 10 on all of these guys because we have 104 targets. That's not quite going to get us where we want to be. But for some of these players early on, Roger Moreau, Thornhill, Stevenson, etc., you do have to be aggressive early on. It's a bit of a gamble here and a tough decision to make because we can either, try to bid these high amounts on these guys knowing that we have to bid that much just to stay in the race and also knowing that it's probably a race that we're going to lose. Or we can go a little casual here. We can go 5,000 on each of them, save some of our money for players that we actually think we're going to have a chance to get at San Diego State. But then obviously, we're sort of just half in, half out on these upper tier guys that we're definitely not going to get if we don't commit our full resources to. So I tend to be an aggressive recruiter. Sometimes that comes back to bite me on the backside, but typically, if you go aggressive early on, you try to see what targets you're going to be able to get. If you land one or two, it's all worth it. And if you don't and you've set yourself up properly, you can still have a bit of a soft landing. And really, you're not going to get anywhere in college sports if you don't try to be a bit aggressive, right? We're not trying to keep San Diego State in the mid-tier of the college football sphere, right? We're trying to bring them up. And if we don't bring them up, we're trying to get a bit of our own promotion. So with all that said, I say we go the full 10K here on Moreau, the full 10K on Thornhill, especially at a position that we need at linebacker. Stevenson, a bit risky. We don't really need a quarterback, but who doesn't need a quarterback, right? A 5-star guy. I feel good there. Walter Schaefer, Patrick Wilcox, 2 positions in need here. We got Stanford Caudill, 5-star quarterback. Maybe we see. Do we really need to be investing in all of these quarterbacks? He's a smart kid. He's out of Arizona. He's got his head on straight. Blah, 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 right? Maybe this is a $5,000 situation. I don't know if we totally want to go full bore here on Stanford Caudill. He's a 5-star guy. You know what? What's $5,000 going to do? Let's just go ahead and max out here as well. So now we get to the 4-star guys. We can be a little bit selective. So I think the smart thing to do here, I'm going to put $5,000 on any player that I'm interested in but is not quite at a position of need. And then I'm going to do $10,000 for these guys that I don't really want to let slip. For example, Edwin Steven, by far the best center that we are trying to go for. He is, where is he out of here? He's out of Arizona, so that is a pipeline state for us. So that is encouraging. Let me pull up my pipelines here. Yeah, Arizona's a minor pipeline for us, so nothing crazy, but it should help. So we are going to go full pedal to the metal on Steven. And Allie, I feel good about that too. Coke, we're just gonna do 5,000 here, and we really are gonna have to calm down on the 10,000s because we've almost spent half our budget here. So 5,000 here, right? 5,000 on Grant, Linder. And this is probably just what we got to do, right? We have a lot of guards. Kennedy's the best one, so I think he deserves that extra 5. And then just keep going down the list. We need a bunch of defensive ends, so maybe we go 10 on each of these guys, and we just really aggressively target defensive end this time. But look at that. We're already at 70,000. There's no way we can sustain this pace. So I think we're going to have to come down to 5,000 on some of these guys that aren't marquee and just see what happens. I mean, we don't even know if these guys are good yet. We don't know if they're interested in us, so we don't want to be wasting too much money early on. For the 5 stars, yes. Let's come in, let them know who we are. But for some of these other guys, we're going to have to be a little bit calmer here in our recruiting efforts. And the tough part, right? I mean, we have 104 targets. How do we spread that out? Even if we did 5,000 per player, that's only going to cover 40, and we have 100 targets. So this is going to be tricky. All right, so we're going to go with 5,000 on these guys, maybe just 2,000 on some of these free safeties. I mean, look, we just don't need that position at all. It's just because I get a little greedy at the safety position because I do love me a safety. These defensive ends, we're still going 10K. I think that's probably fine. Maybe we go 7K on these guys just because we don't know if they're good yet. So I would rather kind of spread our budget out a little bit. Just make sure that we kind of know what we're recruiting. So here's the end of the 4 stars, and that's good. Maybe we just don't go too heavy on the 3 stars yet. We just kind of spend a couple $1,000, let them know we're alive, let them know we're thinking of them, and that is about it. So go on Darren Marr, we're going to go 5,000, but again, we are running out of money in a hurry. So we'll do a few thousand on the quarterback. Everybody knows quarterback, rah, rah, rah. But Paul Bottoms, does he deserve it? Adam Park, I mean, we are almost out. We're not even through the 4 stars, and we're almost out. And just like that, we are out of money. Okay, so now is when you have to adjust. Breeze in the chat saying, out of money, did the Breeze blow it away to other colleges? Yeah, you came in here, and all of a sudden we ran out of money. Your timing was impeccable. So we are going to have to adjust here. Maybe spending $10,000 on 6 of the best players in the country wasn't quite the wisest move. So maybe let's just go ahead and buy ourselves $30,000 here. We don't need to be going crazy on all these guys. $30,000 would go a long, long way at this point. So, and then look at some of these guys. As quarterback, we can come down to 2. I don't even know who these centers are. So maybe come down to 3 on these guys. Come back up here on this guy. I mean, it's tough, right? Because we need these positions. But there's only so much you can do. We'll go 1,000 on each of these guys. We'll go 2,000 on him, 2,000 on him. And now we're hitting the 3 stars, and that's when I think we just go 1,000 across the board, right? If there's somebody that we really like, then I think we go a little more aggressive there. Like, for example, for defensive ends, we got to go get those guys. But for everybody else, I think we're just going to go 1,000 and hope that that's enough to at least be on their radar here. But, geez, we're just not getting very far down the road, and we're already out of money again. So this is a lesson on money management, everyone, and how to not blow your wad early in the recruiting process. So let's see. So we are out. We got to go borrow from ourselves again. We got to figure out who it is we want to borrow from. So we had 7,000 on the defensive ends. That seems a little aggressive considering we don't actually know anything about them yet. So I think I'm going to bring that down. Really, do we need 5,000 on all these guys? Like, probably not. I don't. Do we need tight end that bad? Not really. We don't need it that bad. Save $1,000 there. On a defensive tackle. On a receiver here, a guard, another DT, running back. I mean, it's just you got to save it somewhere. And I think we're just gonna go 1,000 less on everyone here. And try to see if we have any budget left in the end. And I think we should. I think we'll make this work. So, got 1,000, 2,000 on everybody. Still rolling here. Feeling good about that. So, we got 21,000. So, that's 20 more guys, give or take. Maybe a couple thousand to the defensive ends. who are interested in our program. I hate to even give it to Johnny Germain, but I do love safeties, as you know. And gosh, we're not even close to the 2-star guys yet. I think we might have to cherry pick here. So we'll go defensive end, defensive end, defensive end, defensive end, defensive end, defensive end, linebacker, 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 and linebacker. That seems good to me. I think that's probably the way we got to handle this. Yep. All right. So that's our recruiting budget. So as you can see, obviously this gets really tricky when you have a lot of players to cover, not a lot of money to spend. This is also what happens when you have 104 targets. That is not sustainable with the amount of budget that we have at San Diego State. So I guess I'm not terribly surprised about this, but, that is what happens. So now we're looking at the scouting spend. We have even less money to spend there. And which guys do we want to focus on? I think I'd like to know if some of these, top guys are elite, right? I don't think we need to spend outreach hour. Well, maybe. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we spend some outreach hours and then we'll come around with the scouting and see who's actually worth it after that. Obviously, we're going to be offering a scholarship to basically everybody who we think is an elite player. So that's going to be all the 4-star guys. That's going to be basically all the 5-star guys. It's going to be every 4-star guy at a position that we feel like, we want to really lock in there and let them know that we're interested early on. So that's going to be all the tackles, all the defensive ends. It's going to be the centers. It's going to be the receivers. And really just offer all of these, basically. We're kind of getting a little light on scholarship offers, too, so that's concerning. It's actually very concerning to me. Maybe Jonathan Speed. You got to think that he might have something that he can bring to the table. And yeah, all these guys, we don't know how many offers they have yet. It's just coming from us. So maybe this defensive end right here, 4-star guy. And that's it. Nope. There we go. Yeah, 3. And then how many do we have left? We got 3 more. Cherry pick this a little bit. See if there's any top guys that we want to offer to. Just a bunch of safeties, which we've really got to stop doing at any moment. Maybe Linder, if he's really going to be that good. And then we'll get Tanner Graham as a high-level tight end. And then Darren Marr here at receiver. All right. So let's go back up here. And let's see. I'm a little nervous to invite anybody to the game this week because I don't know if we're going to win. I don't know if we're good. So I think maybe we hold off there. But let's see. Which player would we want to attend their high school game? Who do we actually think we have a shot at here? I don't really know if we're going to have a shot at any of these guys. If we can get... all these guys are coming out of California schools. So obviously we're in California, but we don't really have an advantage there. So I'm concerned that would be kind of a waste of our money to try to target these guys right away, or a waste of our time, I guess, with these outreach hours. So looking a little further down the board, Cottle does come out of Arizona. And he's got that high IQ. What's up with Stevenson? Is he the athlete? Loves to win, understands schemes. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know if there's much here that's compelling me to go after this guy. So, I think maybe let's look at who's the best defensive end here. Looks like it's Darren Silvers, top defensive end here. Driven by his love of the sport, good technique. He is not athletic, though. That's concerning. But he is out of California. And he's the best player at a massive position in need. You look down at Frank Anderson, too. Yeah, nothing's really too intriguing about him either. So maybe we take a shot on those guys. Maybe just a light shot. We could interview them. It's not a bad idea. Just go ahead and interview these 2 defensive ends. Interview a few of them, actually. And just kind of figure out what it is that we're working with some of these top defensive ends. Because we're going to have to narrow in there and find one that's actually worth our efforts. So we might as well use some of our early scouting to go after those guys. All right, so now we're talking about attending a high school game, home visit, facility tour, all that good stuff, or just a plain old phone call there. I'm going to save that for the end. I don't think we really need to do that yet. But I think maybe attending a high school game would be a good start. And I think, do we want to do it on a quarterback? Do we want to do it maybe on a tackle? Walter Schaefer? Yeah, this dude seems like he's absolutely insane, and he's out of Hawaii. So I kind of think that we'd have a shot. So we're going to attend his high school game. And then we don't really need to scout him right now because we are going to go do that. So I think we'll hold off there. Maybe we'll scout him next week. And then who else? So Patrick Wilcox. He looks like a great guy. High intangibles. Maybe it'd be good to learn a little bit more about that. So we could interview him. We could also call him. Have him come visit. Something like that. Maybe we attend his high school game too. I like doing that early. I think that's a pretty solid one. Try to really learn just how good these guys are before you put too much effort into recruiting them. And I kind of feel that way about the quarterbacks too. Because if they are worth our efforts, I just don't think we're going to be able to get them. So that really dissuades me. But look at this. They are just screaming about this running back, Joseph Alley. So maybe he's somebody. We also got to go see his game, see what's up there. And then we got 2 hours left here that we can do something with, 2 outreach hours. We could invite somebody to the game, but again, a bit of a risk. I don't know if I really want to do that. So I think maybe we just call a couple of guys on the phone. And maybe we just call these 2 quarterbacks, right? Just kind of see what they're all about. See if they're actually worth us pursuing them. So there we go. We're out of outreach hours. And now is when I think we go ahead and just spend some money scouting these top guys. We don't need to scout the guys that we're going to their games just yet, but we'll scout all of these other top guys and go, look, are they going to be worth our efforts, or are we just wasting our time here? So I'm going to try to isolate some of these players at positions that we actually want. And yeah, we are interviewing these defensive ends, but I think it would be good to scout them too. So that is what we'll do. We'll scout all these defensive ends that we're talking to. We'll give him just a little bit less money. And there you go. Look at that. That is how you do it. That's probably maybe not how you do it, but that is a way to do it. So we have 5,000 going to pretty much everybody. 2,000 at positions that we find to be a little bit less important for our team coming up into this next year. And then once you get to these lesser guys, just spamming 1,000. You got to remember, it really is important to get on the radar for some of these players early on, so that you can build that loyalty with them. You can kind of build their security in coming to your school. That's especially true if you're trying to recruit a player from across the country to come play for your program. It's going to be tough to get them to do that if they don't feel like they have that level of built-up trust with you. And the way to do that is to recruit them from the beginning. If you have recruiting points on them every single week, or recruiting dollars rather, with the way that it's set out this year, one of the cooler changes in my opinion in this game was changing from points to dollars. If you are staying on them, you're using your recruiting spend budget on these players every single week, touching base with them, you're calling them on the phone, you're doing an interview, you're inviting them to your games from the beginning, that is how you successfully establish a recruiting routine and a recruiting pattern for these guys and seal the deal by the end. So nothing really left to do this week. That is week 1. That is week 1 recruiting. We got 104 guys here. We are super stretched thin. This might be a good example when it's all said and done of how not to recruit when it comes to just having so many guys and having our budget kind of spread thin. But we'll see. This is the way that I tend to recruit. I tend to recruit like this in every game that I play. I do the same thing in the college basketball game. I tend to have a bunch of guys on my board, call them all every week, and then aggressively target the top handful and force them essentially to tell me that they're not interested. And once they do, I very quickly pivot and move on. I know that's how the computer is programmed as well. That's how the AI operates. They are very aggressive on the targets that they want to recruit. And once they feel like it's a lost cause, they are very quick to pull the trigger. And I don't think that's an accident, guys. The AI is programmed to work that way because, in my opinion, that's the most effective way to recruit. That's the most effective way to recruit in real life. And also, in these games. So this is the way that I like to do it. If you're following this from home, maybe you have a different strategy. Maybe you guys like to put even more aggressive up here, right? Maybe you're a superstars and scrub style. Maybe you got 10,000 on your first 25 guys and then go from there. That might be an even better strategy than what I'm doing here. Maybe you completely ignore these guys. You try to only target players that you think that your school has a pretty good shot at. You get those, and then at the end, with whatever money you have left, you aggressively target the players that fell through the cracks. That is another way to do it. That's a perfectly fine approach. In my opinion, that's going to limit your upside a little bit. You're essentially letting other schools tell you what players you have a chance to get. And I don't like to do that. Whether it's recruiting or offensive or defensive game planning or anything like that, I tend to like to be the one that's setting the tempo there, trying to force the issue, trying to be in a mode of attack. You'll notice that with any of my offensive or defensive schemes. I just find if you're the aggressor and you are the one that is trying to build out a plan based on your personnel, based on your budget, based on your targets, that's going to be a better successful run long term. So this is how we have this set. We'll see. We'll know pretty quickly once we advance the week there after week 1. I think we'll have a pretty good idea of whether this is working or not. I think this offer column is probably going to have guys in the 4, 5, 6, 7 range before too long here, and that might be a little bit concerning for us. But feel pretty good about that. So that is recruiting for us for now. I'm going to go ahead and save just in case anything drastic were to happen here. I don't think it will, but always a good idea to perennially save. Save scum, if you will. Nothing wrong with that. Your game, your saves. All right. So the one other thing that I wanted to touch on, we're about half an hour into this episode. This one might be a bit shorter, with just kind of a sleepy Wednesday evening here. So this might be a bit shorter episode, maybe 45 minutes or so. But with this last 15, 20 minutes, I just want to dive into strategy and depth here. So we're going to start with depth. I already set the depth chart for the team, but I know we talked about this a lot in previous episodes, but maybe if you're just hopping in new here, or just to reiterate just how powerful this screen is with what you can do with offensive and defensive sub packages. So right here, what you're looking at my offensive starter screen here. So we've already gone through this in previous episodes. We set this entire depth chart. These are the ones. These are the guys that I'm going to be rolling with when the game starts. Rolling with week 1. We had a bit of a quarterback controversy with Mark Berry and George Prince. I decided to go with Mark Berry, the gunslinger. I think that he's shown enough in camp and just kind of with his overall statistical makeup here that I think he's probably, and I emphasis on the probably, the best bet here for our team. But this is the starting lineup. There are 3 different sub packages that you can work with here in addition to your offensive starters. Really, it's 4 packages, but I just choose one as the starters package. I just think that's a cleaner way to do it. But really, if you have 4 kind of distinct packages that you want to run in all different situations in every game, I mean, be my guest, right? That's what this is for. So offensive packages 2, it looks identical to that one. It's because I copied it over. So you don't have to set all these every single time. You can go ahead and just set one sub package and copy them over. But here's an example of something that you can do with your sub packages. I'm actually going to do this right here. This is going to be something that I keep for this season. So Robert Larson is our number 1 back, right? He is our 3-down back. We love Robert Larson. We love everything that he does for the team. Good pass catcher. He's quick. He's a decent enough runner between the tackles. But Todd Cantrell here, his name just sounds like a bruiser. I mean, I'm getting Todd Gurley vibes here. I'm getting, I feel like I knew a Cantrell one time who was just kind of a rough and tumble guy. But Todd Cantrell, you do not want to mess with Todd Cantrell. You do not want to go against Todd Cantrell in an Oklahoma drill. Let me just put it that way. So let's put Todd Cantrell at the top here, right? So he's our number 1 back. This right here, this is a new package. This is a new sub package. We are going to call this Power Run. So this is our Power Run package. And just like that, so we didn't save here because I renamed it, but I'm going to go ahead and go Todd Cantrell. So this is our package. This is the Power Run package. We have Todd Cantrell in at running back. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and also set, and actually I'll do this right now, Lowell Rourke is my second tight end. Christian Braun is a much, much better blocking tight end. So I'm actually going to put Christian Braun here as the number 1 tight end and move Lowell Rourke down to backup. Braun is just a far superior blocker. He's actually the best blocking tight end, I think, on the team. I'm going to keep Martell here just because you don't want to always put in your blocking tight end here and let everybody know, kind of signaling, hey, by the way, we're running. That's not always the best thing to do. But you bring in Todd Cantrell, I mean, they probably have a pretty good idea what we might be doing with the football there. So, and in terms of our offensive line, too, you can do the same thing. I have a pretty set offensive line structure here. We have one guy that's pretty much the best at each of those respective positions, and the backup is notably worse. So we're not going to go ahead and change anything here. But if you are playing as an Alabama, as a Clemson, as a Texas A&M, that type of school, let's say you are too deep at some of these positions with different types of players, different types of strengths, you can set an entirely different offensive line. Let's say you know you're going to go power run. Let's say you know that it's a shotgun passing situation. You put in all of your pass blockers. You have a sub package. You can just call it whatever. You can call it 3rd and long if you'd like. You can do that. You can kind of be deceptive. You can bring in different players that seem to be indicating some sort of package, and then you can run out of that shotgun formation or something. I wouldn't necessarily advise that. I think sometimes it can be easy to get a little bit too cute. It's not as though the AI is necessarily going to know that, hey, they're putting in their backup left tackle. I should be ready for the pass here. I think that might be kind of projecting a step too far there. Even in multiplayer leagues, I think that would be kind of an aggressive jump. But, you can, right? This is your game. So if you feel like you want to set these different packages, you want to set kind of a subterfuge package, if you will, put guys in there at different spots to kind of indicate what might be coming and then throw a curveball. Hey, that is totally your call. Let's switch over to defense here and take a look at this as well. I actually do have a sub package, and it's called Speed Rush. And so you'll notice in Speed Rush, defensive starters here, I have Tom Tate and Errol Usher as my outside ends here. I'm not a big fan of our defensive ends on our team. I just don't think that they're very good. They're all sub 80. That's not really what I'm trying to do here. Pretty much every starter, I think every single starter on my defense, except for Stoll and Goad, but they're honestly a lot better than those ratings indicate. But everyone else is above 80 or above, except for Tate and Usher. All of these guys have different skills. Fairchild and Morris are both pretty quick. Tate and Usher are both kind of the strong, sealing the edge type of defensive ends. So I just went ahead and split the difference here. I have my defensive starters of Tom Tate and Errol Usher, and then I have my speed rushing package, and I bring in James Fairchild and Salvador Morris. I can't remember who brought it up in the chat, but shout out to whoever it was that actually suggested that we do a sub package like that, and I think it's a really good idea. So I went ahead and just ripped that off and pretended that it was my own for a few seconds there. But yeah, so that is an example of what you can do with these packages here. You can even mess around with your nickel formation. Let's say, let's go to defensive package 3 here. I'm not going to save this one because I don't actually want my defense to run it. But let's say you have a pretty good feeling that your opponent is going run here, and you want to stack the box with very run-oriented defenders here. In my nickelback spot, instead of having Charles Nunez, the nickel corner, this third cornerback here, I can come right down and bring in, who do we want to have here? William Maxwell, right? My backup, strong safety. And then at the nickelback, we have Miles Zuniga. He's a free safety. Let's bring in Robert Couture. So we have 2 strong safeties here in our nickelback spots, ready to come down and defend against the run. So there's just so many things. I mean, I'm barely scratching the surface, guys, of what you can do with your offensive and defensive packages. It really is incredible. The level of detail that has been enabled here by the devs just by giving us this option to fill out 5 different packages on either side. I absolutely love it. I'm not going to speak for the devs here, but I would be surprised if this was the end, kind of the final evolution of this. I could just see so many things happening with this sub package. Even right now we have 5. Maybe there's the capacity again. I don't know from a technical perspective, but the capacity for 6, 7, 8 different types of packages. Maybe there's options for really having 5 packages at your disposal. There's so much that you can even do within that. That's 5 different entirely separate formations, to say nothing of these players subbing in and out for fatigue reasons anyway, which you can set. You do have the option to set your own setting on the strategy screen for fatigue. So absolutely love all of the options that you have with your offensive and defensive packages here. And then we're going to switch over to the strategy screen here so I can show you guys what this is all about. This is one area where I do opt for a little bit more automation. I am somebody, generally speaking, I do like to get kind of nitty-gritty with all this stuff, but for this playthrough and this game, in part because I kind of like the idea of my assistants actually mattering here and actually having some sort of impact on winning. Obviously, they do have an impact in terms of the skill development of our guys, but I really like the idea of them calling the plays, right, and being the play callers, being the assistant coaches that I hired them to be. So I'm going to leave this up to them here. So I'm going to do the Brian Moore offense and the Gail Buffington defense. I have absolutely no concerns about Gail Buffington being able to handle the workload. Gail Buffington, I am super stoked for him as our defensive coordinator. I think that is going to be pretty sweet. So I'm just going to go ahead and let him call all of the plays here. But let's say that you weren't that way, right? And you wanted to get, really technical with all this stuff and set every single one of these, set the run pass weight for every single situation that you can imagine in the football game. You can do that on a 1 to 100 scale. Higher number means more passing. It doesn't mean if you set 100 that they're going to pass 100% of the time. It just means that they're going to pass, 100 relative to, kind of what is, within the realm of possibility here. And you could actually change that in the deep settings here. If you want to go up here and go to league options and all that, you can make this 100 like a real 100. I would not advise that if you're playing this game for any level of realism, and if you are playing a draft day sports game, I have to imagine that realism is a huge draw, so probably wouldn't tweak that too much. But I'm going to let these guys do their thing here on play calling, and I'll do the same thing with game planning here, but I did just want to show this off in terms of the different things you can do. And maybe we will set a game plan. Might as well, right? What do we want to do here? I'm the coach. I can set the game plan. That's fine. So in terms of attitude, yeah, we are aggressive. Everybody knows that. We are an aggressive football team. We're a balanced football team. We are a fast football team. I like what I'm seeing so far, all right? Passing preference, this is tough. I kind of want to be, a deep shot team, but I know that all of my players aren't necessarily suited for that, so I think we stick with balance for now and just kind of see what that shakes out. Passing target. So we do have a really good tight end, and we do have a really good running back, and we do have some good receivers. So I think I'm just going to go balanced here. Let's pull up our primary, let me go back to my personal depth chart here. So we have Kenneth Jernigan as our number one guy, so I'm going to set him as the number one guy here. Our third down back is most certainly not Clinton Truitt. That is going to be Mr. Robert Larson. He is our number one guy. But I am really tempted to make it Todd Cantrell. And maybe we just take a quick peek here at the running back room and see. I have a note on my phone that says, next to Todd Cantrell, says third down. So maybe I should be listening to that. So Robert Larson is our captain. He's our number one guy. So many things to like about him. Super, super fast, too. But in terms of hands, Todd Cantrell is the hands guy. He's not very fast, but he is certainly our best receiver, and he is our most powerful runner, too. And if you look at personality, Todd Cantrell, power runner, love to see it. So maybe we do make Todd Cantrell our third down back. I don't necessarily feel like, 1,001% about it, but I think that it's probably in our best interest to give Cantrell a shot here at being the third down guy. So we'll set this back to these. And then we're looking at our game plan here. Jernigan here, third down. We are going to go with Todd Cantrell. Goal line back, Todd Cantrell. And we are, I don't know if it's fair to call us a power running team. I think we're probably a balanced team for now. Running back role definitely mixed. It is a backfield by committee. Tight end role is certainly mixed. Vincenzo Martel is going to be one of the better pass catchers on the team. Quarterback tuck and run, that's fine. Whatever. You guys can do whatever you want there. And then defensively, we are going to be aggressive defensively. We are going to focus on the pass. I am big about that. Take away the pass. Take away the thing that you are the most scared of. I am not worried about a team running down our throats. Should I be? Probably. But that is not the way that our defense works. This is also a game plan that you can change all the time, right? You can set new game plans 4 different opponents. So, we're getting ready to play Winston-Salem Black Knights. Probably would be good to know about their roster as we're game planning. I don't know if I'm going to find it here. I think I'm going to have to go to the roster and check out Winston-Salem. So let's do that right now. I don't know if we're scouted on them yet or not. That might affect... I think we should have everything we need to know, though. Yeah, because everybody should be pretty well scouted. So let's go to roster. Let's just see what it is that we're going against. And we can do that here, I guess. I don't know if I necessarily want to go through the entire thing. Let's maybe just go positions, right? If you want to do a deep dive, you can go check every single player on the team, and I highly recommend you do if you're doing your own sims and you want to go 12-0. But I'm more interested in content than wins here. So so let's see, where are they good here? Running backs are okay. Tight ends are pretty decent. Receivers are kind of crody. Their offensive line's not very good. Their defense isn't very good at all. But their safeties are pretty good. So I think we can run on this team, actually. Which makes me think that maybe we should focus on the run for week 1. And now that we know their pass catchers, let's just take a look here and see what it is that we're actually going against. So their quarterback, they only got 2 quarterbacks on the roster. That's interesting. And they are not very smart. And they do not have a very big arm. So I'm not really worried about getting beat downfield. Maybe I take that back about focusing on the pass. Maybe we're going to focus on the run. Yeah, they got an 85 overall running back named Najee, so that's concerning. Don't really love to see that. Oh, and he is fast, too. Okay, we are going to take away the run in this game. Yeah, they got 1 good receiver, Gerald Shoemate. Not really worried about him beating me down the field, though. So they're more of a possession team. So I think we can be pretty aggressive here. I think we can blitz a lot because they're not going to beat us downfield. I just really don't see that happening. Joe Curtis, yeah, he's pretty slow. Really, the one guy that I'm worried about beating me in this game is Najee Matheson. So let's go back to our team and let's set an actual game plan for this matchup here. And I will change this game plan for next week, but this is the Winston-Salem game plan. So we'll go to game plan. We're going to focus on the run. Primary coverage, I think we can go... Honestly, I kind of think we can go man-to-man. I don't think they're going to beat us. Defensive line roll. Really, let's just go ahead and go run support. Linebackers mixed. That's fine. We're going to want Norman Gamble wearing that radio. He's the best player on the team. Match cornerbacks to receivers. That sounds pretty good. A line man coverage. That sounds pretty good. And then target player. Extra attention towards an offensive player. I think you guys know where I'm going here. Najee Matheson. Very worried about that. He could be the one that breaks this game open. But I feel pretty good about our plan here. And I think that we're going to be set up for success. All right, point margin for backups. 28 points. I don't know. I mean, 28 points is kind of nothing in college. I'm going to go 35 here. Energy settings, sub them out when they get to 60, bring them back in when they get to 85. I think that that's pretty reasonable. My team is kind of bad, so I think 60 is reasonable. Maybe come back in when they're at 80. I don't know. I don't really want my backups in there for too long. Probably going to lose the game. And then end game override. Nah, we're going to leave these where they're at. I think that's probably fine. All right, so I feel pretty good about this game plan here. This new game plan 1. That's the code word that we like to use. Operation New Game Plan 1. That's just in case anybody from Winston-Salem happens to come across one of our sheets here and sees what the game plan is. They will have absolutely no idea who we're game planning against. Absolutely none. There could be any Najee Matheson across the country. They don't know that it's about their guy. This counter strategy thing is awesome. I'm probably going to let the offensive and defensive coordinators handle it, if only just because that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Empower them, enable them to be the reason that I win or lose. But this is really cool, this setting. I just want to show you guys this. So turn this off. Prepare against offense. You can prepare for any of these types of plays. So if you're... This is especially, I think, just phenomenal in multiplayer leagues. If you're going up against somebody that just traditionally hammers you with the short passing game, you can focus against that and have an extra attention, extra detail, extra energy put towards that to try to stop that in the game. Now, obviously, if your opponent beats you in the cat and mouse game, knows that you're going to try to stop the short passing game, and then decides that they're going to beat you, deep, right? They're going to beat you along the boundaries. That is a major concern because you just spent your entire week focusing against the short passing game. So shout out to Asger on the dev team. I know that he was taking this kind of as a personal project, or at least it seemed that way from the way that he was talking about it near the end of First Access. I think this is one of the cooler, more underrated features of this game. And really, it's just emblematic of what this entire game is about. Options, 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 right? This entire game should just have optionality tagged across the entire thing because there's just so many things you could do. I mean, just look at this screen. Look at all of the different things that you can tweak. And this is just one game plan. I mean, this is opponent by opponent, right? I don't have to set this for the entire season. And in fact, I'm not going to. You guys saw me. I'm a pass-first guy on offense and defense. I want to beat you through the air, and I want to beat you down in the air. I don't want you to pass on me. But that's not Winston-Salem's game. Winston-Salem is a running team, or at least so it seems based on their personnel. So that's what we did here. We focused on the run, and I think that it is going to serve us well. There's some other options here. You can go into formations, set all of this stuff, which is pretty incredible. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this one alone. I know we could change some things maybe before next week, kind of off camera. Maybe I'll tweak some of these personnel package options for power run and for speed rush just to make sure that those are being utilized properly. But this is where when you make those sub packages, you can come in and just be a kid in a candy store on Christmas Day, right? I mean, this is an unreal amount of detail that you can have at your disposal here to basically just set, in accordance with this play calling thing and setting all of these different situations, and then coming over to formations and looking at, I guess this isn't technically situations, but with each package, how you want to utilize them within those situations. Just, layers upon layers upon layers of details. And again, options, hashtag optionality. Play analysis, this is not relevant right now because there are no plays to analyze, but this is obviously a screen that's going to populate over the course of the season, and you'll be able to analyze kind of what you have going on here in terms of what plays you're running, what situations you're running them, and how successful they are. This is something that I find just awesome. I mean, this rivals some of the cooler nitty-gritty features that I've seen in other games. I love the option to be able to just come in such a granular way. The college basketball game has a screen, advanced stats, where you can go and just see more stats than you ever even thought existed with your team and all that. And that, I think, is one of the more underrated elements of that game. I feel the same way about this. Obviously, there's nothing here, so I'm not going to tout this too much, without any actual data to analyze. But this is just, again, another way of sort of self-scouting and just taking the nitty-gritty details and seeing how you want them to adapt to your play style. And then custom playbook, last thing here. I don't have one created. You can create one if you'd like. If you want to dive in, try out all these plays, even custom plays, make your own plays, put them in your custom playbook. There's just worlds of effort and attention that you can pay to that. Super cool feature. Not going to dive in too much now, but maybe in a later episode down the line, we might mess around a bit more with plays and playbooks. But all right, I think we are good to go. I think we're set. I think we are ready for week 1 against Winston-Salem. That is going to be an absolute showdown. And that showdown will be coming in early November. Like I said, this is going to be the last episode for this month. We are going to be off next Wednesday, but we will be back the following Wednesday, or at least that's the plan. We will let you know if anything changes there. And the season will be underway finally. And I think it will be well worth the wait. All right, I appreciate you guys joining us. Those of you that joined us live on Twitch, appreciate you. Breeze, I appreciate you. Anybody watching on YouTube, absolutely love the support with this. This has just been awesome doing these episodes. Really appreciate you guys. I am going to be gone for the next week and a half or so. So if it gets a little lonely in the Discord or on the forums and all that, you will understand why. I am not there, but I will be coming back in early November. And what a time for me to come back, right? Pro football will already be in the swing of things. Pro basketball will be in first access, and the release will be just around the corner. Absolutely cannot wait for that game. And obviously we already have college basketball and college football released here, the newest versions. literally could not be a better time to be a fan of Wolverine Studios and the Draft Day Sports lineup. So I am super thrilled to be a part of this. Hopefully you guys feel the same way. All right, a few things before we go. The first thing, you guys hear me say it every single week. I say it because it's important, guys. Subscribe to our Twitch channel. If you have not already subscribed, it is not too late. It is too late to be early, right? You are definitely not early to the game if you have not subscribed yet. But if you appreciate what I do, if you appreciate what the devs do putting these games together, really if you just appreciate the community kind of galvanizing together and helping each other out with these games and all that, a small way that you can show your token of appreciation is to subscribe to us on Twitch. I have no idea how much it is. I think it's like a few bucks. I mean, I don't think it's too bad. But if you have the Amazon Prime, you can save a few bucks and get one free subscription by linking it with your Twitch account. That's one free per month, guys. It's a free subscription every single month. So if you haven't already done that, definitely do so. Use it on us. We would really appreciate it. It would be free for you. Helps out the devs, helps out me and just the entire team. So definitely subscribe to Twitch if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to post about your teams and careers with hashtag Franchise Friday on Friday on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Discord, Slack, and the original forums on WolverineStudios.com. I saw this week Bill Dozer was posting he's got a new dynasty going on in the basketball game, and he's got Steph Curry as his point guard. What is going on? Bill always taking over the league. I absolutely love to see it. Love to see the updates on hashtag Franchise Friday. Love to see these dynasty reports you guys are posting. There is some awesome content in there. It feels like there's like actually real teams being reported on by like actual real media. So I love to see that. Keep that stuff coming, guys, and especially on hashtag Franchise Friday. Amplify the brand. Help us reach other people. Help other people learn about these awesome games. It's fun when it's your and my secret, but it's even more fun when everyone else knows about it too. So hashtag Franchise Friday. Post about everything you got going on there. And if you have any ideas for videos that you want to see, or you have any questions, or you have any concerns, or you want to chat about Wolverine Studios, or you just want to chat about sports, or I don't know, if you want to chat with me and hear the insights of what Gary and Brooks and Asger are like, these mysterious devs. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? I am here. I am always here for you guys. You know where to find me on Twitch and Twitter at CJacksonCowart, on our Discord server, or anywhere on the Wolverine Studios forums. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Enjoy.